Okay, here it is again. You're probably thinking, more of this? This series just refuses to die. What is going on here? So, let's swap out the hat first. That'll be the thing that we do at the start of every episode is a new hat. This one looks a bit like something Nigel Thornberry would wear. Are you guys nostalgic for the days of Klasky Supo cartoons? Back when everyone's standards were so low that we would watch cartoons that were just ugly as sin? Oh, Klasky Supo, founded by Arlene Klasky and Gabor Supo. Those are some funny names, aren't they? I believe they were from some Eastern European country. They were a husband and wife duo, and then in the 2010s they divorced, unfortunately. Klasky Supo. And speaking of Eastern Europe, well, obviously there's a conflict going on over there in the news. I've been looking at my analytics, and I think I've discovered that people are trying to find news on the conflict that's going over there, and they're ending up on my channel by accident because about a year ago I made that video about the Sega Saturn game, Gun Griffin, the Eurasian Conflict, and I guess YouTube flagged that as a video about the Ukrainian conflict, and I just find that kind of funny. This isn't what we were looking for, oh god. Sometimes YouTube just gets it wrong. Like that one time when JonTron made that video when the algorithm got all confused and sent all the money from that video to R. Kelly. Good times. Okay, here we go. Did you know that this Beanstalk-related scene in Mario Odyssey is an homage to 10 Made Jack on the PS1? Nah, ain't nobody know what that shit is. Okay, we got a new Goomba tower, and they make you assemble it yourself, though. Some assembly required, as they say in those toy commercials. Speaking of which, when I was a kid, I once got one of those toys from the commercials where you have to put it together yourself, and I couldn't figure it out. You know, it was too complicated for me. But the funny part is, I remembered in the commercial they have the kids, they put it together really fast in like 2 seconds. And so 7-year-old me thought that I can watch the commercial and that'll teach me how to build it. And then obviously I saw the commercial and it was just over in like 2 seconds. And oh, well, this was a stupid idea. Okay, so next up we gotta get the fuck out of here. We don't need you no more. Oh, that's a satisfying move to do. Blowing apart the Goomba Tower, one piece at a time. It's like 9/11 but with Goombas. That's fucking stupid. So, for all you motion control enthusiasts out there, Nintendo put gyroscopic aiming in this segment. I mean, you probably already knew that since this game's been out for almost half a decade, but it just seemed like something worth reiterating. Nintendo's still trying to push motion controls in some capacity after all these years. The ghost of the Nintendo Wii haunts gaming to this day. Truthfully, I'm glad that era's over. No more forced waggle. He did it. Mario has won his big titty Garth GF. May we all win a big titty Garth GF someday. Someday in the future. So, in this next segment, Nintendo's training the youth of America to be indoctrinated for armed conflict, where you operate this tank on many levels, and anybody who stands in your way is no more. Once you get past the first wave, you push the button, and a new wave comes down of slightly different-looking people, and they all get crushed under the tank treads all the same, no matter who they are. What if Nintendo started putting propaganda in their games, just Japanese government propaganda? What would that look like? They could have Pikachu look directly at the player through the Game Boy screen and say, "Why do pig go home?" That might be. It's not funny, but I guess that would be a decent example of Japanese propaganda. But nah, in this day and age, you couldn't get away with that. In the age of hypersensitivity, people would not tolerate that. You can't tell me what to do. Okay, so we got a third wave now, and we should have expected this to happen, that eventually they would turn us against our own kind. The first two waves were just to see if you were emotionally capable of doing something so heinous, and now that you've finally gotten through those waves, inevitably they would expect you to turn these guns on your own countrymen. Oh, Nintendo, how could you? But at least we got this cool shiny blue moon at the end. That makes it all worthwhile. I like the fact that the moons are color-coded based on each world, by the way. It's the little things that make the experience worthwhile. So, by the way, today is the, at the time of recording at least, today is the 5th anniversary of the Nintendo Switch coming out. So, maybe I could talk about my history with the system. So, I remember seeing lots of forum posts in the fall of... Let me back up so you don't hear my computer fan. Lots of forum posts in the fall of 2016 talking about the NX, that was the code name for the Switch at the time. I remember thinking, oh yeah, this looks really cool. Because, people on forums tend to overhype things, and we didn't have any real information. And based on how the forum dwellers were describing it, it sounded like it was going to be the best thing ever. And then the actual trailer came out in October, I want to say, and personally, I didn't really see the big deal. I just thought, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. But everybody in the comments section was real excited for it. And oh my God, this is literally Jesus. And I feel like that one interaction was really emblematic of how the whole Switch generation was gonna go. Where John Q. Public was super excited for it, but I was just kinda, I don't really see the hype. But it's good that you're excited. Overall, this has been a good generation for Nintendo, though. The third-party support's been the best it's ever been since probably the SNES era. We're getting back all the Resident Evils and the Mega Mans and the Dragon Quests and such. It's definitely a different pace of releases than it was during the GameCube and Wii days, where you get like fracking 2 games a year. Those were difficult times. The dry season, as it were. Okay, so, this boss ain't particularly challenging. Looks a bit like something out of Pikmin, What with the ice stalks and such. But anywho, the last 5 years have definitely been an interesting time to be a Nintendo fan. Nintendo is at a greater strength and popularity now than they ever have been. Wish it could have been like this when I was a kid, Looking back on the arc of all the games Nintendo's developed over their career, and you realize that in a lot of ways they just kind of sat on their hands from like the Nintendo 64 era, all the way up until maybe the Wii U era, and where were all these games when I cared? Why did you wait until I was just a bitter and hateful 26-year-old man to start delivering all these games? Why couldn't you have done this when it mattered, Nintendo? Why? I mean, I'm just repeating myself, but Nintendo just spits out so many games now, them and the third parties. I mean, just look at what they're doing with Pokemon. I mean, last November we had the Diamond and Pearl remakes, and then there was that Arceus thing that just came out last month. Not even, 4 months later? And now they're already talking about the new generation on top of that. I mean, that's like 3 major games over the course of a year. It just was not like this when we were the right age for Nintendo games. We only got crap like Pokemon Battle Revolution, where if you didn't have the DS game to accompany the Wii game, that there was basically no content. It sold 1 million copies anyway. Fuck you, you'll buy it. So anyway, I guess that big UFO didn't stand much of a chance. We'll do more We'll do more Mario Odyssey, irregardless of whether or not anybody watches it.